with this live stream coming up, would you say that the cherry bombs are the? And I know this is more of like a scripted kind of. There's like a storyline going on from what I understand, but. Even outside of that, I feel like the cherry bombs are like the perfect act for a live stream because I'm not a big fan of these live stream concerts, right? I think it's a horrible thing. But I feel like for a group like the cherry bombs, maybe a little bit you rely on the energy of a crowd. But, I think you really kind of got to focus on your act and doing these stunts, whether it's the fire breathing or it's, hanging from that fucking cube. That's on fire. So
that fucking cube.
So
God, that fucking cube.
But so in a sense, it feels like you guys are really like the perfect thing for a live stream.
Yeah, the live stream is actually, like you said, it's great for what my act does because our act is so visual. With a band, it's more about the music and how you're hearing it. And of course, there's visual aspects to live performances with bands, of course. But with ours, it's really about what you're seeing on stage. So whenever we perform on stage, rarely do audiences go to the bar to get a drink because they're just like, there's so much happening.
It's a full on spectacle the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. And so for a live stream, it's perfect because that in itself is visual and it just makes sense. So when we shot that not in a typical live stream concert format. We did it in a movie format where, like you said, it is a storyline, but we shot, what's that?
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here.
Christ.
I guess my one co-host here cannot get the Zoom to work, but that's all right. Yeah, I know it's a mess around here today, but no. So but I know that the concept of this was originally meant to be it's going to be a stage show, but then COVID happened, and so you had to kind of I guess readapt it to make it more of a live stream thing. And how do you go from trying to do it to adapt something from taking it from the stage to, I guess, the screen?
Well, we kind of took what the storyline was. And since it was really heavy on the production side, I told my videographer, I said, let's just shoot it like it's a movie. Like, let's shoot it as if each scene was in its setting in the storyline itself. So instead of, like the whole thing on a stage, as most of these live streams are, right? They're all shot on a stage in a venue. Yeah, we know that. And that's cool too. But for this one, since it was a storyline, I was like, fuck it. If this is taking place in the desert, let's go shoot out in the desert. If this is taking place inside of a saloon, which it does, let's go shoot it inside one of these bars downtown that's closed. That'll let us in there. And that's exactly what we did. So we basically made a movie. But I typically explain it as if it were like a visual album, if you will, of a giant playlist of rock and metal music. But it's like a giant hour-long music video to all those songs that fit. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's a wild ride for sure.
Do you think it almost kind of worked to your benefit? Like now that since it's not, you have a little more flexibility since you're filming and you're not, on stage with anything, you can almost kind of almost like see the fully realized version of what you had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. In a weird way, it did work out to our benefit because doing this live stream kind of allowed us to make it bigger than it would be on a stage. So we went and shot at a pyro warehouse and we could do all the flames and the pyrotechnics that we probably wouldn't take on the road because A, it's expensive, and B, it's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. And I don't think we'd be performing in venues where we could do those giant pyro explosion type things, right? So it allowed us to make it bigger than we typically would have done it on the road. And two, it's allowing us to kind of give like an hour-long commercial, if you will, for our live show when we go hit the road. So people can feel like, oh, I know what to expect when I come see them perform because it's going to be that show. But it's going to be like the Disney on Ice version of that show, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Now, but they'll understand the concept though when they see. Is this the show that when you guys go on tour with Corey this summer? Is this the show that you guys will be doing?
It is. We're going to be doing a mini version of that show since we are the opener. I'm not going to take up an hour and a half of everybody's time. I condensed it down to about an hour long, but it will be that storyline. It'll just be kind of a quick mini version of it. And so I pulled some pieces, and then we have video screen brought in to tie it all together. And we are doing that show.
How do you do? I've never seen you guys. I've seen videos of you. I think Trent has seen you guys before.
Yeah, I saw them with Buck Cherry. As far as I know, that was your first tour. Is that right?
Oh, long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago, 2016.
Girl, we have come a long way since Buck Cherry Dave. That tour was our first national tour that we landed. And when we got on that tour, they thought we were go-go dancers that were just going to like come out and go-go dance to the house music in between the acts. And so the tour manager was like, I don't have any time for you to do a show. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're just going to like dance to the house music and we're just going to like put the house lights on. Right. I was like, no, we have a show. And so I don't know where were you, which city?
I think it was in Warren, Ohio, right next to Pennsylvania, right on the border.
Kind of by Youngstown.
Big venue.
Yeah, it was a decent sized venue. Yeah.
I do remember that one. I remember the wooden floor on that stage.
Yeah.
That was I don't know. I don't think we could rig there. So that's another big issue that we come across. And especially on that tour was that they didn't know what we were. So I'd go to advance these shows and nobody would call me back or nobody gave a fuck about us because we were just, the puny opening act and they don't read writers or anything. So we'd show up with our rigging gear and they were like, you can't rig here. You can't do fire here. And then, some shows we would just do it anyway.
I don't remember fire from that show. Yeah, unfortunately.
No fire on that one?
I don't think so. Not from what I remember, but it was a long time ago, so my memory could be fuzzy on it.
Well, we've beefed it up a lot since then. A lot. So, and now that, we're a little more well-known, venues know what to expect when we come in a little bit. So it's less of a fight. But yeah, I hope, I don't think we're going anywhere in Ohio on this one.
No, I don't think I saw any dates, but the thing I wanted to ask was, how do you, with the show, like what you guys do, how do you, how do you tell a story while you are doing your performance?
Have you ever seen a ballet?
I have not personally. Have
you ever seen an opera?
I'll tell you this. I've seen plays.
I love opera. I don't know. That's a stupid geeky side of me, but so you tell a story by music choice, wardrobe, lighting, movement. You're basically telling a story with everything but your words, right? So with what's happening with the movements, what's happening, you're basically acting on stage as if it were a play. And with, like I said, with the music choice, that helps drive it. The lighting, if there's something erratic going on, I can, tell the lighting designer to, do strobes, do something shaky, make a lot of color bursts. So you can choose things to emit feelings or evoke emotions out of the audience to feel what it is you're trying to drive in the storyline. And of course, there are some you guys haven't seen Macabre. I can send you guys a link if you guys want to watch it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But like, there's a scene where there's a girl and she's tied up in this chair and she's gagged and there's these two kind of menacing type of evil guards, if you will. And you get that impression because of the way that they're dressed in these, all black cloaks with these hoods and these masks, and they're beating the shit out of her kind of. And she's kind of helpless. So we know that this is a hostage situation. So just through imagery, like you would a music video, that's kind of how we drive the storyline.
Well, and that's the great thing about doing the live stream first and then bringing the show on the road is that everybody has a chance to watch it. And then when they go see the show, it's like reading a book and then the movie comes out, but you're already kind of knowing what to expect, but then you're watching it in person,
Exactly. And that was really planned that way. We initially streamed this January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at the beginning of the year, and it had great reviews. People really loved it. They were like, oh, I want to see it again. And I thought, I don't know if we're going to see it again or if we're going to release it again. But then the tour opportunity came up shortly thereafter, and I thought, okay, if I could time this just before we hit the road, it'll give people, the audience, a way to connect to the show. So if they see it and then they come see it, like, oh, that's that part, or this is what's happening here. And there's cool little Easter eggs throughout the live stream too that you'll see in the live show. Just kind of callbacks to different things. You guys ever watched Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Man, I got to say, I've never seen it.
I've seen scenes of it. I've never watched the whole thing though.
Okay. So it's kind of a cult classic, and things in Rocky Horror Picture Show, when people would go see it in the theaters, usually each major city would have like a Rocky Horror Night, and people go, and there's things that happen in the show that the audience can kind of connect with and make a game out of, if you will. So in our live stream, we kind of touched on things like that. So there's like a certain sound bite that you'll hear throughout the show, and that means drink. So it's like audience participation type, collaborative type, fun, interactive stuff. And we love to create shows that way. So if you see the live stream, you'll pick up on that real quick, and then we'll obviously walk you through it in the live show too. But just a way to have fun in a unique way that's different than what we've typically done before.
Well, I'm curious about, like your background prior to all the cherry bomb stuff. Obviously I think a lot of people know that, you were a cheerleader for it was the Falcons, I believe, right?
Right.
And you've been probably dancing since you were a little kid, I would assume.
Yep. Since I was 3.
The thing I wanted to ask you about was, this was, I guess, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago now, but there was all that controversy with the Netflix movie, Cuties. I haven't seen the movie. And I don't think I know anybody that's watched it, but everybody kind of saw the trailer for it. And, everybody had an opinion on that. But I was curious kind of what your thoughts on that were.
Yeah, I saw the big hoopla about it. And I was like, man, this has got to be brutal if there's this much controversy about it. So I checked out the trailer. From what I understand, it's a foreign film, right?
I think it was like French or something. Yeah, that's right.
Right. And just based off the trailer, did you watch the trailer?
Yeah. Okay. Did you guys watch it too, Trent and Caitlin?
I saw it one time.
All right, Trent has seen it. Caitlin has not, but yeah.
Okay. So it's these very young girls that I think meet up with one new girl in their friend group who comes from a very conservative family, and they teach her how to dance, I think, but they're like twerking. It's like a twerk team thing.
Right.
Maybe I'm way off. I think
No. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Okay. And somehow, some way, they like forge this friendship over twerking, right? It sounds so stupid.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous.
It really does. I mean, what a concept for a film.
I will be writing all of the synopsis for from now on out. Man, I don't know. I think if I have a stepdaughter and she's 6, and I don't know how I would feel about her running around in these tiny little booty shorts and crop tops, twerking for her life, all the time. I think there's a certain age and a certain maturity level that is right for certain things. Of course, parents all feel differently about different things, and everybody has the right to raise their kid however they want. But I was really conflicted on that one. I was like, man, those girls are really young to be doing that, to understand, what is that? But then again, I was talking to some friends about it, and twerking, I guess, is actually a dance that comes from a certain culture. Like, it's not like, yes, it's been made into what it is now with a bunch of these artists and whatnot, but twerking itself is, and I don't even know if there's like a different name for it. I don't know my twerking history very well, but I don't. But from what I do understand, that it comes from a certain culture, and that's how they dance. And so to them, it's not anything to bat an eye at. So I don't know. I think it's just going to be really dependent on time and place and who's doing it and what the setting is and all that sort of thing.
I remember reading like a review of the movie, some guy that watched it, and he thought it was kind of disgusting, but I guess there was like some sort of, I guess like meaningful, message in the film. But I think after that trailer, everybody was like, why the fuck would I want to watch this? I mean, I would feel uncomfortable watching something. I think all of us would be uncomfortable watching, little kids twerk. I mean, that's fucking weird, man.
Yeah. To make a movie about it is different than being in a live setting and someone's just, getting down or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. That was a weird one. For sure. I don't know. I'm not really, to be honest, I'm just not a fan of twerking in general. A lot of people, I just, to each their own, but for me personally, it's just never been a move that I like. I don't like the way that it looks.
Sure.
In case in point. Okay. So I did the music video for the Motherload, Mastodons, the Motherload. And that video made a big stink as well because it was a bunch of twerking in it. And when I don't know why they hired me for this video because I don't have an ass. And so when I showed up on set, it was like these women with like, really big butts, and they were like twerking. I mean, they had like baby powder and the crack and everything. So there's a point in time where they were like, okay, all of you come out and you freestyle for a couple 8 counts. And me being a non-twerker, I'm hitting them with the things that I do. I give them like a hair whip. I give them like a thing, like I'm being me. And they're like, way to go, Broadway.
Yeah, you should have showed up. You should have known your twerking history a little better. Come on.
If I did twerking, I would look like, what's that graphic from, is it Bob's Burgers? What's the one? It's like a cartoon. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the girl with the glasses and yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would look like. Okay. So there are girls on my group who twerk very well. They can do amazing things with their butt cheeks. I'm impressed. I'm like, wow, that looks fantastic. You should totally do that. I should not do that ever. So I don't do it.
Speaking of music videos, I'm not sure if it was in your notes, but you were part of one of Chris Jericho's music videos a couple years back, right?
I've done 2 of his.
Because what was it? Was it Judas one that you were in? And then what was the other one?
Painless.
How was that?
It was a blast. Judas was I think that's his big video.
And doesn't your videographer, doesn't he work for AEW as well? Is that right?
Yes.
I thought so.
Yes. So that's actually how we met, is on the set of the Judas video. They needed dancers, and the makeup artist knew me, and she was like, hey, we've got this Fozzy video. Do you want to come down and do it? And I said, yeah, sure, whatever. Came down, did the thing. And the director on that is my videographer, Nathan. And he was so great, so chill, pleasant to work with. And I really loved his eye for things. And I said, I've got some work if you want it. You want to come film our stuff? And he was like, yeah. And we just clicked immediately. And now we're like brother and sister. And now he does all my stuff, including Macabre. And then Chris, he really, from there, he had been following Cherry Bombs for years. Before that, in fact, he was trying to figure out a way to bring us on the Golden Gods when he was hosting back years before that, and did the video. It was super rad. And then he came in, and he's hired Cherry Bombs for all of his videos since that, actually.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. You'll see a couple other Cherry Bombs and a couple different other videos of his. Great guy, super fun, awesome to work with. And we've done an AEW vignette. Since then, that was when the Inner Circle went to Las Vegas. We were in that. And yeah, any chance I get to work with Chris, I'll take it, because he's just a really rad guy.
So, so you grow up dancing and you get into the NFL. And I was watching an interview with you before this, and I know you said you couldn't take any more Katy Perry, right? You were sick of it. But I was curious, is that the only reason you left, or was it also because maybe the way you were treated, or you didn't have any creative control? Because I feel like that's, something that, I mean, I'm not a dancer, and I don't know any dancers, but I feel like that would be like... I
can't imagine you as a dancer, Logan.
Of course. Yeah, who would want to see my nasty ass dance? Jesus. But no, I feel like that's, such a high point of, for a career to be like, man, I'm a cheerleader in the NFL. I mean, that's a big deal. And I feel like that'd be a big thing to walk away from.
Yeah. It wasn't about creative control. If they were doing stuff that I truly enjoyed doing, I would have been totally happy. But you hit on something, and that was a big part of it too, was that when you're in the NFL like that, they really own you. Like, they own your soul. They own everything that you do. They control everything. And I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Y'all don't pay me enough to do this.
I've always been curious.
Like, I know that sounds really dumb, but $75 a game.
Oh my God.
That's it?
I'm telling you, $75 a game to me was not enough to control every aspect of my life. And
wow. I mean, I'm blown away right now. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Oh yeah, no. And that's why they had all those lawsuits in around 2016-ish.
I do kind of remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the organizations end up dropping their cheerleading teams because of those lawsuits. And they were like, you know what? We don't need you guys. So we're just going to drop you. And they got rid of their cheerleaders altogether. It's really sad. Especially because, I mean, I have my own opinions on it, but the cheerleaders are really there to be like the community outreach for the organization, right? So they do a lot of hospital visits, military visits, school stuff, and the players will too. But the cheerleaders, I mean, my first rookie year, I think I did 65 charity appearances. I'm driving all over the state of Georgia, and I was happy to do it, and it was great for what it was. And I wouldn't want to change that part of it at all. Absolutely love that part. But I was like, say we all went to the beach, right? And we were all having fun. We're hanging out. We're taking pictures. I was not allowed to post any of those photos on any type of social media whatsoever because they owned my image in a bikini. And
oh my God.
There were girls who, would get married and they'd go on their honeymoon and they couldn't. And I know that sounds so stupid, but just the fact that like something like that, like so little of your choice is taken away for that was like, after a while, all those little things kind of add up. So like if I was in a restaurant and a player walked in, it was highly suggested that I leave the restaurant.
Why?
Why?
Because there was a strict no fraternization policy, and you don't want anybody getting the wrong idea.
Oh man.
Anybody's, talking or having any sort of, relationship or anything, and they're really strict about that. So, even when we would do these hospital visits and these military visits or school visits together with players, and the players knew. And so they would try stupid stuff to like push the buttons. They'd walk up to us and be like, hey ladies, how you all doing? And we were told to just ignore them and like turn the other way and just walk away. It was so awkward. And it was like, you know what? Like, I'm an adult. Like,
yeah, no kidding.
I can just work alongside this human being just fine and not be treated. It just felt like we were treated like children all the time, I guess. And, yeah. And I just was like, this looks great on my resume and it will open a lot of doors for me, but it's ran its course and I'm just kind of tired of being controlled a lot. So I want to do what I want to do.
Well, that's crazy to me. I mean, I would imagine that there's got to be a high turnover for a lot of the girls, because I'm sure you are not the only one that feels that way.
Oh, for sure. The average NFL cheerleader career is 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
For sure. The long timers are considered like your 4 or 5 year vets. And there are a lot of great parts about it too. There's a lot of camaraderie. I immediately had 39 new friends, a network of amazing women who were all driven and strong and intelligent and talented in their own rights. And that was the really cool part of it. I was never like a sorority girl or anything, but from what I understand, it's kind of like a sorority, but we would get cool things. You get Reebok would send you all this swag, and you get the best seats in the house on game day, which you can't beat too. And that experience alone is amazing. So yeah, and I got to travel to Bermuda and Jamaica and the Middle East and perform over there, and I had really, really, really cool experiences. But there was just a point in time at the end of the 3 years that I did it that I was like, I'm holding this candy cane and I'm dancing to Justin Bieber and I'm not having fun anymore.
Sure.
Yeah. And that was kind of like, when it's not fun anymore, what's the point?
When you left and you started the Cherry Bombs, did you bring, did any of the other cheerleaders that you were with, have any of them ever been a part of the Cherry Bombs?
Yeah. In fact, that was my very first group that I brought with me. When I started Cherry Bombs, a lot of the girls that I was friends with were like, oh my God, is Alicia okay? Is she on drugs? Like, she's getting tattoos. She's dyeing her hair red. I think there's something wrong with her. And they like added me to their prayer lists and shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, it was Georgia. So there's that.
Yeah.
And so there was a small group of my tried and true friends who are still friends with me to this day. They're so great. They were like, we're going to support you. And I said, cool. How would you like to go to Sturgis? And they were like, what's Sturgis? And I was like,
oh my God.
And so that was our very first gig, was Sturgis. And
that's a huge first gig. That's a huge first gig.
And these girls, like, they're used to like the red carpet being rolled out for them and like nice catering. And, when we would do appearances at places, they do treat you very well. And when you go to Sturgis, it's like,
it's rock and roll.
It's rock and roll.
That's
yeah,
right.
for sure. And a lot of mud, a lot of dirt, and camping with, community showers and bathrooms and all that fun stuff.
It's a total 180.
A complete 180. And bless those girls, because they were like, we love you. We don't think this is for us. And I was like, okay. So bless them for that. But soon quickly figured out that I needed to get giggers, girls that just wanted to pick up gigs and do the thing and then get out. And so that's when I shifted from NFL cheerleaders to professional dancers, professional circus artists, the grinders,
Was there a lot of downtime that you had between leaving the NFL and starting Cherry Bombs? Like, did you have to kind of sit back and rejuvenate a little bit? Or was it kind of like, you know what, let's just go like full on as soon as, I'm going to leave the NFL. I'm going to start this fucking thing and we're going to go.
Yeah. I mean, I left the NFL in spring of 13 and our first gig was August of 13. So
well, you wasted no time. Wow.
No. Yeah, I really didn't. I kind of knew what I wanted and I knew how. I didn't necessarily know how I was going to get there, but I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly what I wanted it to look like. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just figure it out as I go. And I mean, there were some dry spells in the beginning for sure, because I think with any actor, any new band, or, you got to bang down doors. You're like, hire us, please. You do the free shitty gigs and you do we've never paid to play, thank goodness. But you'll just take anything that you can get in the beginning because you just got to get out there. So I was just cold calling all these promoters and venues and Harley Davidson dealerships, because we had a tie to the motorcycle rallies and motorcycle rallies themselves. And it was a little slow in the beginning. And then once it picked up and our reputation started getting out, then we just started picking up gigs, and then boom.
I know the name Cherry Bombs, you said, is you sort of paying homage to the band The Runaways with Joan Jett and what was it, Lita Ford and but is that because they were, I guess, sort of like the first notable kind of all-female rock band, and it was almost like a women empowerment kind of thing? Is that why you decided to go with the Cherry Bombs and pay homage to the Runaways?
Not because I felt like they were the first, but mostly because I loved the attitude that they had. And I love artists like Wendy O. Williams, to me is phenomenal. And she's, way back. But to me, I also love the juxtaposition of the name Cherry Bombs, and that to me, Cherry was a little more feminine and then Bomb was a little more aggressive. So I love it's
like a yin yang.
Exactly. I love the combination of those two things, because to me, that's kind of what our show is and how we are as a brand. You have these strong female energy, but at the same time, they're doing very dangerous, kind of reckless things. And the Runaways had that attitude. And I love that about them and Joan Jett. And it just all kind of seemed to fit naturally, and it kind of just lended itself to be a good guide for how I wanted this brand to show itself.
I was watching the first episode, I think it was, of Girl Gang, your YouTube series.
Yeah.
And there was this story in there I thought was real funny, where I think it was like maybe the first girl that you brought on, where you were looking for like a place to film. And she had suggested, I think it was like a train yard or something. And you guys get there and they're filming The Walking Dead or some movie or something.
Right. Yeah. We actually we had wire cutters, and we were just going to break into this abandoned train station that we could rig in, because she's an aerialist. She's still with me today, actually. And yeah, we were like, oh, okay, our first time on the shoot with Connie here, we're going to get arrested. This should be fun. But then they're just like, don't do this. So yeah, we're known for just kind of going out and exploring places and seeing where we can hang from and where we can start setting fire to things out there. And then we just kind of do it until we're asked not to. Kind of like with these venues. Like is how it's going to go.
I'll tell you, I can't believe I'm about to say this is so embarrassing, but back in the day, I was, when I first got into like Slipknot, for example, I was a big Corey Taylor fan. I broke into, he was in that movie Fear Clinic with Robert Englund, the original Freddy Krueger. And I live here in Ohio, and they were filming that here in Ohio, and we broke in to the movie set because we were hoping to meet him, and then we got, of course, we got tossed. Yeah.
Oh, you got caught.
Yeah, we did get caught, and I ran into the security guard a few months later, and we laughed about it. But and I met Corey one time, and I totally forgot to tell him that story. But yeah, no, it's a nice little adrenaline rush though, and you're like doing something, you're a place you're not supposed to be, and
Yeah, you're like, ooh, I'm not supposed to be here. I don't know about you, but I've never been. I don't know. I feel like cops don't really want to arrest you for trespassing in a place like that. They'd rather just shoo you away, because I feel like arresting you would take more work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When I got caught at the Fear Clinic set, it was from the security. Like, it wasn't the cops. It was the. Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're like, okay.
Yeah, like we totally got it. I mean, we shouldn't have been there. But I think that the filming set, it was like an abandoned nursing home or something, and it was so far off the road. So, you see this car coming down. Of course, you'd be like, what the fuck is, get these guys out of here.
We know, yeah. There's no car come down this road, so this is somebody.
Right.
So it didn't take long for them to kick you out then.
No, and of course, the guy was super cool about it. But, I mean, I was a little, whatever. Yeah, you know how it is when you're like, it's 17, 18 years old or whatever.
Yeah. You're always like looking for some shit to explore, get into. I mean, growing up, that was a big thing where I lived. There's this abandoned insane asylum that all the kids used to try and find. I've never found it, but went out in the woods looking for it. And, that was like the cool thing to go do. Well,
especially here in Ohio. I mean, there's nothing to do. You know what I mean? It's the middle of fucking nowhere. But
are you in Warren, Ohio?
No, I'm in
Okay.
I live. I'm honestly like 20 minutes away from like Amish country. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm in like the fucking sticks, man. It's crazy. But no, so I never heard of you guys until you guys did it was the Stone Sour and Steel Panther tour. And so I checked it out and I was like, I checked you guys out and was like, man, this seems perfect for Steel Panther, right? I mean, that was like, it totally fit. But then, when I think of a band like Stone Sour, I kind of think of like the Foo Fighters in the sense that they're both are great, like hard rock bands, but they're, kind of more serious. The songs are more meaningful. It's not, like Buck Cherry where it's a party band and right.
Yeah.
So, I was curious, a tour like that, I mean, obviously Steel Panther has quite a large fan base themselves, but, do casual rock fans, that are more into like, Stone Sour and that kind of stuff, how do they react when you guys are opening up something like that?
It's either one of two things. They either are hooting and hollering and think it's just like the coolest fucking thing since sliced bread. And you see all these phones up and they're screaming and women really love us too, which I was looking at our demographics on our social media, cause I like to just check in and see where we're at with everything from time to time. And we are right in the middle, 50%, well, 48, 52 men to women. And that's always surprising to me, but something I'm really proud of. And yeah, it's a lot of excitement when we perform. They just love to get into it. Or you can hear a pin drop. And
oh boy.
And there was one show on that tour I remember, and you never know why that is, right? Is it's like, oh my God, we fucking suck. Like they hate it. They hate us. And there was one show in particular where we went there and it was just silence. And we got off stage and I was like, they hate us. And I went to go check on our merchandise. I went to go check on our girl. And she was like, I'm selling more merch here than I have in any other city on this tour. And I was like, what?
So they were just in shock and awe.
Yeah, that's what it was. They were just like,
mesmerized.
They just weren't sure how to respond to it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And the line from our merch booth at that particular show, and I remember I had to run back to the bus and I was like, guys, there's a bunch of fans out at the table. They want to take pictures and stuff. And they were just sitting around going, I fucking hate us. And I was like, no, they don't. And they were like, what? So, and yeah, that, and then of course, every once in a while, and it's very, very rare, but you'll get some dumbass that's like, I bet your moms are proud. And then you're like,
oh, that doesn't surprise me at all. But, I got to tell you, you were saying you were a little surprised by the, you have a bigger, a lot of females into you guys. But I feel like we're living in the age now where, women are really all about supporting other women. I feel like more so now than ever before. I mean, it almost gets on my nerves, the amount of like gushing I see online of, girlfriends that I have. And they're like, oh, this girl is such a babe and this and that, I mean, you know what I mean? It feels like we're living in that time more than ever though. So I get why there's so much support on that side.
It is a cool thing. I think, and I think it's going against the grain in that I feel like there was a period of time, if not still kind of now, where people kind of felt like it was cool to be a dick.
Yeah.
Like it was cool to be the one that's like, that sucks. It fucking sucks. I hate it. And after a while, it's like, dude, can you just like something? Can you just take your panties out of a wad and fucking enjoy something for a second? It's okay. Like it's going to be okay. And I think having a group like this and seeing the support from other women is helping push against that narrative. Because, and we've all seen the whole mean girl thing, right? Like that's always been a thing. And the truth of the matter is it's just wasted energy. And I don't want to be known for that. And I don't want to be known as being a part of it either, but it's really not cool. And I think with women in particular, there was a moment in time where we felt like we had to compete against one another for certain spots in certain industries because there wasn't enough spots, or, you had to beat the other one out for whatever it was. But now we're at a point in time where there's plenty of opportunities for women to be in different parts of different industries and have different things. So there's a big push for equality now, and it's opening up. And I think the more we succeed and the more our counterparts and women succeed as well, it just makes it better for all of us. So why not?
With all the girl support, have you guys ever toured with another group like yourselves?
No, but I would love to.
I don't know. Are there any other? I don't know if there is.
Little Miss Nasty is the first one that comes to mind.
Oh, I have heard of that. That's right.
Yeah. In fact, on our headlining run, I wanted to support this type of thing in this industry by having dance groups open up for us in each city, because I think it's something that you need to support and give back to, and you can't just be the only one. Like, I'm the only one here.
Right.
Yeah, we need to do that for one another. So that was, and when we do go on our headlining run, that will be the plan. But yes, there are lots of groups like what I do. Fucking the Suicide Girls have a show.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And we're all kind of different in our own way. Little Miss Nasty is different from us, as we are different from the Suicide Girls. And there's tons of groups out of LA as well. And so we all kind of have our different kind of flavor, not unlike bands. So, yeah, I think it would be a smart idea, actually, to package all those things together.
How do you evolve a project like this? Because, with bands, for example, it's okay, we're going to hit the road. We got a new record out, blah, blah, blah. And the cycle kind of repeats. But how, with something like this, how do you evolve it to where it doesn't become one of those things where it gets stale, where people are like, I've already seen it. And it's one of those, once you've seen it, you don't need to see it again kind of things.
I know for my group in particular, we're always expanding our training in different acts. So it really is a variety show. So, for example, with Macabre, the new thing we did was a storyline that was new and fun. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to learn flamenco and how to use a bullwhip. And so I'm going to integrate that into this show, because why not? And so then we brought in stilt walking, and so we're always pushing ourselves to learn new skills or bring in performers that do different skills to throw in different flavors of things.
Well, I got to really catch a show, because I was bummed that tour this summer isn't coming anywhere near here, because I was a big fan of that album, and I haven't seen you guys, and I really wanted to go see, because I'm a big Stone Sour fan, huge Steel Panther fan. They were they were the first ever guest we had on this show, and I would we'll have to I'd love to catch a show soon. But
same, like I haven't seen it in 5 years now, so I'd love to see it again and see.
I'm sure it's evolved quite a bit since that Buckcherry tour.
Right.
Oh, we've come a long way since the Buckcherry tour, for sure. And that was fun too, for what it was. And I create our shows to cater to the audience that we're performing in front of. So I was like, okay, it's a Buckcherry tour. We're going to dance to Kid Rock, and we're going to dance to, I build our show based on that audience in particular. And that makes it fun for me too, because I get to mix it up. And so, yeah, but yeah, I really hope that you guys get to check out a show as well. And like I said, I can send you the link to Macabre. You can watch it at your leisure. You don't have to see it, this weekend or anything. So.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. And I had one other question I wanted to ask you. It was about a tweet that you had. I think it was from, I don't know.
Oh God.
Every time I ask somebody, like, I'm going to ask you about, something you tweeted, they're like, oh boy, here we go. What did I say?
Yeah.
Right. Uh-oh. What did I
Twitter is like the Wild West. You know that. That's where angry people are.
Oh, of course. But no, I was curious about, it was like pertaining to the Knotfest thing. And you tweeted, I think you were quoting somebody, and you said she wouldn't have gotten Knotfest without Corey. And then you went on to say Shows don't work that way. Promoters don't freely give out thousands of dollars just because someone is married to someone else. They have to justify the expense, and there has to be interest. God, some of you are dense. And right, so that's such a great thing that you posted. But how do you? Let me think of how to word this properly here.
Sure.
I guess, when you're married to an icon, I guess Corey really is an icon these days. How do you kind of hold your own and be your own person to where it's not like, that's just so-and-so's wife or that's just so-and-so's husband. And you kind of hold your own identity separate from,
Yeah, I think it's really hard for some people to understand that other individuals can get things on their own.
Sure.
Like, it is a thing, it's possible. And sometimes I just think people just want to draw their own conclusions because it's easier to do and it justifies their feelings about somebody. And so, yeah, I just keep on doing what I do, and I keep on, booking my things. Like, as we discussed already earlier, like I was doing music videos before this on my own. I was doing tours before this on my own.
Yeah, you built up the Cherry Bombs before all this happened.
Yeah,
and people overlooked it.
Yeah, and it's easy to overlook, and it's always astounding to me. And you guys are in your own industry too, and I'm sure you're around the music world enough to know some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes.
I work in the music industry full time.
Okay, so perfect. So then I'm sure you're no stranger to seeing a lot of people comment things as if they know what's happening.
Absolutely.
And you are like, and you knowing how it actually works, you're like, you really thought you did something there, didn't you? Like, did you just sit on your couch and go, yeah, that's it. That's how it goes. And no one in the industry told you. You didn't see it with your own eyes. You didn't experience it. You just kind of came up with that. And that's it. Like, that's the truth, right? And I think that's kind of how a lot of people handle things like this with me and my group. It's just easy because it's Corey Taylor's wife. Well, no, motherfucker. That promoter, you get pitched to a promoter as an act.
Yeah, that's right.
Just like me, just like Behemoth, just like whatever. We were all pitched to the promoter, and the promoter has to justify the expense. And if it's worth it, and go, yes, no, that's good for me. They're going to act in their own best interest. Things like national tours are a little bit different than festivals because it's really about the headliner that's going to sell the show, right? The package. Yeah. So that's why you'll see like opening acts sometimes that maybe aren't that great, but there was a deal in there somewhere, and there's a lot of stuff.
Somebody's doing somebody a favor or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
And this is common when it comes to like national tour packages. Right. It's not really about the other people on the bill. The direct support, yes. Headliner, absolutely. First guy, probably not as much. Festivals are different because it's a much bigger roster of acts, right? Sure. So they have to take a little bit more care. It's a much bigger expense.
Well, and normally on festivals, a lot of the acts are getting paid quite a bit higher than what they would get on a routed tour. So
yes, and the reason why is because they're able to justify that by their draw. That's right. Their reach. Exactly. Because people are going to look at their roster and go, oh, I want to see that, one act out of 25 of them. And I'm going to buy that bigger ticket price. So it's always kind of surprising to me whenever people think they're an expert at something that they're not involved in. But I honestly think at the end of the day, people kind of say that shit, at least in my case, because it just makes them feel better to draw that conclusion than just to admit that they're just a little petty Betty.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I do think it's funny in your bio too, where you're like the one who hears what Corey Taylor thinks more than anyone else or whatever. That was pretty funny. Because God knows you see 20 of those articles every fucking day.
We do. I love taking the piss out of the media, and you'll see too. And a lot of people like to refer to me as Corey Taylor's wife. Like that's my greatest accomplishment, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a wife.
Yeah.
I did it. Thank you. That's Alicia Taylor, Corey Taylor's wife.
Hey, well, what I will say, though, for what it's worth, out of all the famous people I've met over the years, I will say he is seriously one of the nicest people I really have ever met.
Oh,
He really is like the nicest guy ever.
He's amazing. Yeah, he really is. He really, truly is super sweet, super nice, gives respect to everybody right out of the gate. And funny and witty and smart. I mean, he's my husband, so I could go on and on all day.
Really gushing.
Like he's swearing, he's pretty. I love him so much. But no, he truly, and he's cool. He's a cool hang.
Yeah,
people love to hang out with him. And yeah, I'm very, very, very lucky for sure. Absolutely, very, very lucky.
Well, before we wrap it up, you have this Macabre live stream. That's when is that coming back? If it's very soon, right?
Happening this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And then you also just recently premiered what is it, season 3 of Girl Gang on YouTube?
Yep. And Girl Gang, this season of Girl Gang is all about the behind the scenes of Macabre. So you see how we shot it, all the things that went into it. So that, again, that was also kind of a nice layup into the streaming of Macabre, which is a nice layup into tour.
And you can also catch the Cherry Bombs on tour this summer with Corey Taylor. Actually, though, is every show sold out? Or it's very close, if not, right?
I'm here. I think we've got about 4 or 5 dates left that have tickets.
Wow, yeah. And there was quite a few markets where there was second and third shows added. Is that right?
Yeah, we did that because we have limited capacity in these venues.
Right.
We wanted to give some of those markets a chance to come see the show. So yeah, you'll see some double nights and triple nights in some of these cities.
Well, you can catch the Cherry Bombs on tour with Corey Taylor this summer. You can check out the Macabre live stream this weekend and check out their YouTube series, Girl Gang. Alicia, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Thank you. We will, we'll talk to you later. Hopefully we'll catch you on the road at some point, maybe post-COVID.
Yeah, that would be great. Once the world opens up and we can, high five and hang a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time on the Crash Report. While you wait, make sure to like and subscribe to the show, damn it. Thanks for listening.